G'day guys, this is Big T. Today I've got the Nissan D40 in the workshop. Now it doesn't matter whether you've got a Spanish build or a Thai build, the Rockarmor bull bar fits both. So just to start off here, I've unwrapped my cradle. So the cradle is a one piece which gives that extra strength because when you're pulling on the winch, you've got that center plate here which is directly to the chassis. So what we have here, we have our built-in crumble zone which works in with your vehicle airbags. Then we've got the winch plate just sitting in the middle. Then we've got our mounting points at the back. So the ones on the side here, they're on the face of the chassis. And then we've got our bolts underneath the chassis. Okay, so I've got a bag here that's got all my fitting kit in it. So I'm just going to lay those out nicely. So all my bolts, nuts and washers are ready. Just when I'm fitting, it just makes things so much easier. Also in your kit, you've got your underbody protection. So we've got the center protection plate. And then we've got the left and the right. The great thing when installing these is Rockarmor nutserts already into the bull bar, so it's so much easier when you're installing these bash plates onto the vehicle. So I'm just going to put these aside to last because that's the last strip that we've got. I'm just going to go ahead now, strip the front of the vehicle. Just a little tip when you're stripping the front of the D40s, there's two 10 mils that are just up on the side wings there. They're a little bit of a pain. You need to drop the whole inner guard to get those 10 mils off. So you really need to put those back later, so just make sure you don't damage it. I've just stripped the whole front, so just with your mounting points on the chassis there, they get a bit of gunk inside the threads. So just clean them up, give them a good spray with WD-40. So I'm using the points on the front, and also I've got a couple on the bottom there. Just give them a good clean before we get started. And I'm going to grab my cradle now and mount it up to the vehicle. You'll find these rods with the nuts welded on them in your kit. So there's two of those, but 95% of the time you're only going to use one on the driver's side. Most of the time the passenger side already has a thread built into the chassis. So before we get started, just insert the plate into the chassis there through the front, just so we can pick up the two mounting points from the bottom of the chassis there. So I'm sitting in place there. So they're a fine thread. I've just put the spring and the flat. I'm just going to pick up those two factory points, one on either side for now. I'm just going to put one on each side for now, just so it holds the cradle in place. Now all the nuts and bolts that are inside the Rockarmor fitting kit are 8.8 rated high tensile bolts, and they've all been salt spray tested. So I've just spread the rods in the chassis there. I'm just going to pick up from the bottom, and now just do these up hand tight. So I've put the two on this side, on my driver's side. I'm going to go through now and put the two in the passenger side. The passenger side's already threaded, so I don't need the plate in the chassis. So I'm just measuring from the side of the body there to the top of the cradle, and just make sure I've got an even gap on both sides, so the bull bar is going to sit level with the vehicle. That's level there, I've got 8 10 on each side. Just going to go ahead now and tighten everything up. And if you're going to be mounting a winch to the vehicle, so once it's all tight, that's the time to mount the winch. So what I'm doing, I'm not over tightening the bolts. I'm just getting them so they're flush with the chassis on the front, and then on the bottom, just so that it's sitting in place correctly. And then I'm going to go through and tighten them all up properly. So I've tightened up all my mounting points there. That's nice and solid on the vehicle. This vehicle's not getting a winch, so I won't be mounting the winch there. But what I'm going to do next, I'm going to start my wiring. So if you have your fog light harness there, you can just tap into that for our bull bar. And then I'm going to tap into my indicators and my park lights. but you might want an auto electrician to do this part, but we'll go through it and I'll show you anyway. So I've just removed the headlight, it's a lot easier. You don't have to remove the headlight, sometimes you can access from the top, and you can just remove your indicator there. And I've got my park light. Inside the bull bar, you'll find this wiring harness. So black is my earth, white is my park light, and yellow is for my indicators. On the vehicle there, you'll see black is my negative, white here is my indicator, so I'll be connecting the yellow to the indicator there. And this white one here, which is the park light, it'll be connected to this red and black, which is a park light on the vehicle. I'm just going to go ahead, splice those in and solder them on the vehicle, and then we're ready to go. Now I'm just doing one at a time, just so I don't short any of the lights out. Now if you have a little bit of conduit, you can conduit that. Otherwise I'm just going to take them up, make them nice and neat. We're going to put the light back in. Alright, so I've unwrapped the Rockarmor bull bar here. Heaps of great features built in. So we've got the dual antenna mounts, one on either side. We've got the cutouts there with the plastic caps, just so you can get your hand in for your winch controls. Now the Rockarmor bull bar comes with your fog lights, LED indicators, LED park lights. You've got the bump stops at the front. As you see at the front there, there's a little plate there, that's for your winch cradle, the fair lead. So that's just remove that with the two 10 mils on either side, and you can put your horse fair lead in there, ready to go for your winch. But this vehicle's not getting a winch, so I'm just keeping that on. We have our cutouts here for our spotties. We also have the mounting point in the center there for your winch controller. Now the Rockarmor bull bar is built really tough. It's made out of 3mm steel, and it's got 6mm steel on all the mounting points, just to give you that extra strength. All the material used on the Rockarmor bull bars are A-grade steel. Then they're sent out to be E-coated, which cleans all the material from the inside out. Then they're sent for sandblasting. Now after the sandblasting, it's very important, Rockarmor goes through and rubs back the whole bar by hand, just to give you that really nice finish before they're sent in for powder coat. Once the powder coat's on, it gives you that really nice finish that you see on the Rockarmor bull bars. With the strength, you can see behind here, Rockarmor runs strengthening brackets all the way along the bar, just to give you that extra strength, and it doesn't flex. But my favourite part about the Rockarmor bull bars is all the mounting points have nutserts in them. So you've got your number plate here, you'll see the nutserts already in there. It makes things so much easier. I've fitted other bars out there and they give you these little clips that you need to clip in and try to get behind there. It's just the biggest headache. All our bash plate mounts have all nutserts in there. It just makes things so much easier when you're fitting the Rockarmor bull bar. Now the bar's ready to go on. So what I'll be using is 3 mounting points on the front here. So there's 3 on either side, and they just marry up with the bull bar there. And I'm using the long bolts there, they've got the fine thread. I'm putting the washer, and then I'll be fitting them through the outside in. Then I'll just be putting the flat, spring and nut. And if you have Loctite, you can also use Loctite on these. So that's how it's going to be mounted there, and all 3 on either side. So I've got the bar in place there, I've got the 3 bolts on either side. Now all I've done is just tightened up one bolt on each side, but just slightly tightened it up, so the bar's still got movement, as you see. I'm just going to get my factory bumper bar now, put the template on there and cut my factory bumper bar, and then put it in place before I tighten the whole bar. So just before you cut the bar, just with the template, just set it in place there and make sure all our gaps are correct, and always get a ruler and just double check the gaps there before you do any cutting. So I'm happy with that now. I'm just going to put this on the bar. So I'm just going to align the template with the side there, all the way across. I'm just going to put some masking tape and then cut along that line. So once you've marked out the passenger side, you can just turn the template over and use it for the opposite side. So I've cut the factory bumper bar there. I'm just finished it off nicely with the pinch weld all the way around, and then I'm going to install it on the vehicle. I'm just putting it back into place there and fit your 10 mils back up. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to adjust the bar so I've got a nice even gap all the way around. Okay, so I've got the bull bar all tightened up there. Got my harness that we did earlier on. That's just going to plug straight in. Then I'm going to wire up my fog lights, just cable tie all that out of the way, and I'm ready for my bash plates. Okay, so I've just set the bash plate there, but before we go any further, these are the brackets that we had in the kit. It's just going to sit on the side of the chassis cradle there. Bolt's going to go through, flat spring nut. Now I've just put that bash plate in place there just so you could see where it's going to marry up to the cradle, up to the bash plate there, and then our center one's going to mount up to this mounting point here. Now I've just set the bash plate there. I've fixed the center bash plate, but with the wing I'm just going to trim my inner guard now, just a little bit from the top and a little bit from the bottom, and then tuck it under. So I've trimmed the inner guards down. I've got all my bolts in. As you see how easy it is, the bar's already nut inserted, so it makes things so much easier. I've just put the bolt straight in and just tighten them all up. So that's all nice and neat in there, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drill a hole here. And I'm going to put through the bolt and pick it up with a flat spring nut on the inside, and that's just going to give me extra strength with that inner guard. So there we go, we've done a really nice fit on the Navara D40 here. So this car's ready to hit the tracks. Let's get it upstairs and see how it looks. Super excited. I got the D40 out of the workshop. Looks really, really nice. The customer's going to be absolutely wrapped with it. It's got all those extra features that you want on your bull bar, but most of all, it's going to keep everybody safe when they're traveling off-road. Guys, this is Big T. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more of my videos. See you guys on the tracks.